Coming to you live from the Pensado Theater at the all-new SAE Los Angeles campus, Pensado's Place is brought to you by Vintage King, the Blackbird Academy, Audio Technica, Aftermaster, Isotope, Studio 202 DC, Avid, and The Recording Connection.
Talk about dreams come true. Our guest story this week is just awe-inspiring. Pensado Awards 2, it's ready to roll. Info coming your way. We got a brand new ITL from Dave. JD, let's get this thing going. You're at the place. It's Pensado's place.
Yay! I noticed you were playing the Stevie one with the little chromatic thing, you know? Yeah, that's pretty good.
Thanks, man. Thanks. I'm learning.
Hey, guys, welcome. Glad to have you with us today. So much to talk about, Herbert. Should I just punt to you right away?
Maybe, huh? Should we just get
You
going?
told me not to call you. You told me Nit to call you Herbert.
Yeah, I'd rather you can do Herbert, but not Nit.
You guys don't see off camera when I make a mistake. He beats me senseless.
Well,
you should write in and send letters to your congressman.
Should we get it going?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's get it going. Good day, everybody. Always good to be with you. Hope you had a great week. Hope that next week is even better. Thanks always for your likes and subscribes. It's awfully important. Our partners, the absolute best. The Blackbird Academy, Audio Technica, Vintage King, Isotope, Avid, and Recording Connection. And there's also one more. You've heard in the voiceover, Aftermaster Audio Labs. They have come on board as a presenting sponsor of the Pensado Awards 2015. That would mean we'd be talking about that today. Mm-hmm. They, along with our title sponsors, are going to be making it possible for us to celebrate your art, your craftsmanship in a really awesome way. So before we tell you about the Pensado Awards this year, Dave, talk about Aftermaster when we took the meetings and had the discussions. What's your impression?
Well, we got invited to hear something by Shelley Yakus, who's like,
just legendary.
Yeah, legendary. And Larry Rickman, who's been involved with several products I've been using for a long time. Mm-hmm. And when we went into their studio and heard this, you and I looked at each other and went, our audience might like this, remember?
We did.
And
we did.
So we want to share that with you.
Well, I think a couple things, my observations were, first of all, the pedigree. Mm-hmm. You know, when you're talking about Shelley Yakus, you're talking about, look, I work with a legend, and when you react...
Who would that be, her?
His name is, I know his first name, I never remember his last name. So I watch your reaction to Shelley, and obviously Shelley's history. Yeah. Larry, we know for a long time. But the idea of an application that really the independent guy can utilize to enhance their music at a really cost-effective price. So we're going to tell them more about that. We'll show them more about that. Okay. You can actually find out about it by going to the company link, aftermasterhd.com. We're going to have some folks on in the future from the show. We'll tell you how to utilize it and so on and so forth. To date, they have been phenomenal partners, 100%. And they are making it very possible for us to do something special. And what would that special thing be? It would be the Pensado Awards 2015.
This is what, like a 50th or 60th award show or something?
Yeah, in engineer years. So, all right, so here's the details, guys. The date, Sunday, August 30th. The location, on the legendary Sony Movie Studios lot in Culver City, California. That's right, Pensado's Place is taking over the whole lot. We're going to have an absolute doozy, a VIP reception for the VIPs and paparazzi and all those folks. But you know how Pensado is, we democratize the community. If you are not a VIP, I'm having a reception for you too. And you're gonna have a special place to go and have a hang. And I gotta be honest with you, I don't know which one is a cooler place to be. I have a feeling Dave and I might be hanging out with you guys because we like to take care of our people. My guess is the VIPs will take their pictures and then wander around to where your reception is going to take place.
That's my plan.
Yeah, that's my plan too. It's going to be so cool. And then once we get through all the partying in the front, we're going to gather everybody in what's called Cali Park. It's in the middle of the Sony movie lot. We're going to be under the stars for the big show. And I'm telling you, it's going to be a banger. You can count on that. Immediately after the show, we're going to turn you around and we're going to walk you we're going to actually create the Into the Lair. And the Into the Lair hangouts where we're going to have the party. You know what we say, booty's bumping. You got to have booties bumping. You can choose to party with the DJ, hang out and have cocktails, chill with a friend. It is your choice. Ladies, let me speak to you. You were absolutely awesome last year. You set the tone with style and grace. You made the whole affair just Pensadian. Please do it again. Bring your A game, dress your men up, but let your hair down. Remember, this is a celebration of you, your art and craft. It's Dave and my opportunity to honor you as you have so graciously honored us. We've raised the stakes. We've raised the stakes on the location, but we're not raising the ticket price. It's still just $50. It's a party, damn it. Bring your ass and come on. Here's how simple it is. Go to PensadoAwards.com. Each week there'll be more and more info. Next week we'll tell you how you can be a voting producer. We'll have more on the nomination and awards. We'll have hotel information and lots more. Do not miss. I'm telling you, do not miss. It's going to be a blast. Last detail, Sunday evening, August 30th, the legendary Sony Movie Studio in Culver City. We're going to turn it into Pensado Land. It's going to be an absolute party. Stay tuned. Details come. It's going to be good, right?
I'm just amazed. You're amazing the way you said that.
Oh, cool. Thank you.
I can't wait to be there.
Well, you will be there. Otherwise, we'll have a problem.
I get invited this time?
You do.
Do I have to pay this year? Can I get in free this year?
You can, absolutely. Not like last year.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, let's check in with the corner office. Our host goes by the name of... John
Gotta do it every week.
Gotta do your hand thing?
Every week. It only seems right.
So couple things. How does the award show sound? Is it gonna be fun?
I'm gonna go sleep there now. I'm just getting ready. I can't even believe it's gonna happen again.
It's hard to have the details early, isn't it?
Oh man.
I'm like but it's gonna be.
Now we know what's going on. Last year we were as surprised as everyone because it existed only in Herb's head.
Well,
so.
you're gonna be surprised a bit this year too. So I'll share some.
Okay.
And Chongor, I think, don't you think Big Juice, this week's guest, is just awesome?
Awesome killer. He's so humble. Always wants to give back.
And not far removed from you. Like he's only been doing it 5. Well, we'll
exactly.
But right, he's an inspiration for those who have dreams and want to move forward.
And in such a short time, he's come so far.
Amazing.
And he's
incredible.
talented.
And a great human being.
Yeah,
right?
I like him a lot.
Very cool. Dave's got a brand new ITL for us. Master Blaster. What's the name of it?
Well, I've shown you how to make things wide mixes, and I've shown you how to create depth, but I'm using a different technique. I'm showing you how to manipulate transients to create front to rear depth.
Cool.
I think it's kind of neat. Hope you like it.
Let's roll it.
Hey guys, we've done a lot of talking about width and depth. I was trying to think of something to present to you that you might not have thought about. Transients allow us to pick up things in the mix. I like transients, and a lot of times we'll use tube gear, we'll use transistor gear with a slow slew rate. Look up the word slew rate. The initial attack of a sound. Think of a drummer hitting a cymbal. The minute that stick hits that cymbal, that creates a transient, and so that transient's a spike, and then with time it decays. And so if you take those transients and you dial them back a little bit, your ear thinks that it's farther away because the transients decay with the distance they are from the listener. So let me show you a couple of things I put together, and I want you to, as always, experiment with this concept. Now, another thing that makes things seem farther in the mix. You know what? I'm gonna save that for another ITL. Let's check this out. Now here's our shaker sound. Well, let me play it for you in the mix. Okay, pretty cool. I'm sure you're gonna ask me, so I'm just gonna show you. This is what I did to the shaker. Don't let the volume level fool you. It's a little quieter with that in there. I was using that. But that gave me a little color, a little saturation. Now, if we want this to go back in the mix, but keep the same volume, let's play with the transients. I've got 3 different ways to manipulate the transients here for you. So I've got the SPL Transient Designer. On my speakers, it goes back. That's so cool. This is a free plug-in without it. You're saying, but Dave, the level changed. No, it didn't. I'm looking at my meters, it's staying the same. It just moved back in the mix. And then probably my favorite for this particular thing is this plug-in by Waves. Now, I think this one's the most accurate. Enhance the transients. You know, I'm gonna slide it down in the mix. Experiment with that, because I'm telling you, it's really got some interesting things. I haven't tried it on vocals. I think that might be kind of weird. Maybe on background vocals, but all kinds of percussive things that have attacks to them. You can use that. I use it on claves a lot. A lot of times the claves are just two in your face, and that little whatever that is. Check it out next time.
What a pleasure this guy is. Check out our visit with Nicki Minaj's engineer, Aubry Big Juice Delaine. We welcome to our desk. We think you'll enjoy it.
Roll Tide.
What a pleasure. If you've listened to Truffle Butter, you have heard the work of our guest. His work with Nicki Minaj is almost as impressive as his story. It's a really incredible story. Welcome to our desk. We are happy to have Big Juice. What up, man? No, it's our pleasure. Yeah, you good?
Roll Tide.
Oh, God.
All day, every day.
It's a southern thing. Fire away, man.
By the way, that's only for another engineer, because otherwise, well, I'm not going to say anything.
Okay, cool. For a guy who went to Clemson.
One of the things of many things that I like about your career is that it's so inspirational. I think a lot of people would benefit from sharing that with us. Take me from Cuba, Alabama, with including livestock, 500 people,
Right.
to making it all the way over to Zach's Jim Zampano's studio in Atlanta.
Well, like in Cuba, it's literally nothing there.
Right.
Like it's houses, it's trees, dirt roads. Like, and that's where I grew up. Like I grew up, it was like a farm town, rural. Like my mother and my father was teacher. They were actually PE teacher, and I was overweight. Go figure. But anyway, they were teachers. But like my dad, he did construction work on the side, so it was like everything was like hard work. You work for everything you get, and that's how I spent my days growing up. But like being in that town, like there's not that many options. It's just you go to school, you graduate from high school, you go to college, you get a job. That was it. So like music career, like it doesn't make sense to a lot of people because like there's no music industry in Alabama,
They don't
let
even
alone
think about that as an option.
that's not even an option. So it wasn't even an option for me until like way later in my life. So I went to college. I went to the University of Alabama. I wanted to play football, but that didn't work out. So I kind of like music was always like my hobby. Like I used to rap on instrumentals. I used to record myself as a kid. I had my own radio show as a kid, recording myself. It was crazy, but it was always like a little hobby, but I never thought of it as a career until like maybe 2004.
So were you in college at that time?
I was in college at that time. I was like, it was still a hobby. I had a group of friends that I was making music with. Like they'd be the rappers and I'll make beats and I'll record them and stuff like that. And I tried to, like at that point, I wanted to blow them up. Like I wanted to get them on.
Right.
That was my way to get in as an engineer or producer, like to get them on. But it didn't work out. So, I mean,
it kind of worked out.
I mean, it didn't work out the way I thought it was going to work
Sure.
out. But I went from there, like I was pushing 30 years old. Like I wasn't in school anymore. I was just really out of options. I was staying at my best friend's house. I was basically sleeping on his couch. I was working at Applebee's and I was about to be 30 and I was like, but I was like, I can't, you know what I'm saying? I was like, I got to do something. This can't be the life. So I just packed up. Like I didn't have any money. I just drove to Atlanta. I had a brother that lived in Atlanta. He told me that, like, come stay with me. He actually went and bought a bed. He went and spent like $800 to buy me a bed to sleep in. Like my brother, he saved my life.
Wow.
Hands down. And I didn't have to pay anything. And then I just went to Atlanta. I found every studio I could find, like every studio. I went to every studio, dropped off a resume, whatever, and only one studio called me back, and that was Jim Z and Zach Recording.
And that's where it started.
And that's where it started.
So let me ask you a question, because this is what I find is your story 5-6 years ago is not different a lot from our story 25-30 years ago. And aren't the fundamentals the same, which is hard work, grind, perseverance, believing in yourself, and when the chips are down, you got to hold on to it, don't you?
Hold on to it, 'cause
that's
like,
when it's the toughest, right?
That's what the thing about it. What people don't realize is that, like, people don't have you have to have a successful mind state. Like, you have to. You can't have a negative, like, mind state and trying to be successful. It's not gonna work. And it's not until the point where I started thinking about, I can be successful and I can do this, that's when I actually started to do it. Because for the longest, I thought I never could be an engineer because I thought it was something you had to go to school for like 6 years for, get a degree, doctorate.
Too. I thought that too.
You know what I'm saying? I thought it was something you had to do that, but like once I found out you didn't, and I can actually good it. And then when I found out I was actually good at it, I just became obsessed with it. And that's when I started to take off.
So you get the job at the studio, you're learning your craft. How long between that and getting a chance to do records?
It was no time. It was like no time, and I'll say,
How did you pull that off?
I don't know. Like it was just God, and it was just happened. It was just me taking advantage of opportunities.
You might be a little bit talented too.
I mean,
just a bit, right?
I'm talented.
Let me throw something in. I got to give a shout out to my buddy Polo Don, because Polo saw something in you really early on. That you might not have seen in yourself.
I didn't at all. I was like, why is he allowing me to record him? Like, there's so many more better people, but it worked out that way. So, and it was crazy because like I was an intern. Like I started interning, I say in January, I think it was 2008, 2009, my first 2008, I think.
Not that long ago.
Yeah, it was. I started interning. That was the first time I ever been in a real studio.
Wow.
The first time I ever seen an SSL like in person. And I interned for 6 months, like, you know, doing all the intern stuff, running, getting food, you know, cleaning up. So it was August, I want to say it was June of that year when they allowed me to be an assistant. So I was in the room with Polo at the time, and I was working with his engineers. So at that point, like, I started the head engineer at the time, Tony Terrebonne. Tony. Yeah, and he taught me everything I know. But he told me, like, you can just track him beats. Like, Polo be back making beats, and I would track in the beats. And if Polo needed Tony to do something like bigger, he'd get him. So that's when I kind of started recording, getting used to recording, getting used to working with Polo. And then it just got to the point where he just let me record him all the time. Yeah, and then that's when I first met Esther. Esther came around.
Esther Dean.
Yes.
Do you communicate with Esther?
Yes.
Please tell her in Pitch Perfect 2, she was killing it.
She was hilarious.
She was hilarious.
But people don't understand that's her anyway.
Is
that's
that
like her
what she
that's
is
her.
normally?
That's
Okay.
that's her personality. Anyway.
And also tell her this: she's avoided being on the show, so we're coming after her. So
She'll do the show.
we'll make it comfortable.
She'll do the
So you'll hook it up for her. Okay.
Esther's my girl.
But that's when I met Esther. When I first met her, like she was grinding it out too. She was trying to get on too. So when she came in, like she would only let me record it because like none of the other engineers wanted to record her doing her demo. But I was like, look, I don't know what I'm doing. Hey, you can. I mean, you can. I'll do it, but I can't. I'm not the best at it. She was like, cool, let's do it. And that's how I learned how to be an engineer, like recording her, working with her in Polo. Because it got to the point like Polo would work all day. He'll fall asleep on the couch till like 4 in the morning. He'll fall asleep at like 4 in the morning. Then Esther come in, we'll just start recording like till about 10 the next day. Polo wake up and we just started all over again. Like, and kept working and that's how it worked out.
Herb, just sitting across from this cat, you can see that Southern charm, his humility. You can see how his career path was accelerated based on a couple of things. Your personality, even though you say you're not good, you say it with confidence. and then Jimmy Z, my dear friend, gave him a shot, but the next step, he didn't blow it. That was Polo. Then the next step, Esther didn't blow that. And the next step after Esther was da-da-da-da-da-da.
Nicki Minaj.
Nicki Minaj.
What was the first record?
Well, the way I've
Or you
worked
just
with
connected
Nicki,
with her?
No, because like I've been working with Nicki since Super Bass. First time I ever worked with Nicki was Super Bass. Because I was Esther's engineer at the time. So Nicki called Esther up. It was like late, it was like midnight. And we went to the studio like midnight to work on Super Bass. And like they was collabing on Super Bass because I was always recording Esther. Like Esther didn't trust other engineers to record her while she records. Because like the way she records, it's like, it's fast. It's like she doesn't write anything. She just goes in the booth singing. So she like her stuff a certain way. So she'll take me everywhere. But we was working on Super Bass, and that was the first time I worked with Nicki with Super Bass. And like anytime her and Esther would collab, I would always be the one to record the record because she just, like Nicki wanted me to record the record simply because, you know, I know the record because I already cut the demo. So even with Turning Me On, the one with David Guetta, like I recorded that with Nicki. I also recorded, it was a couple of other records that we did. I think it was Not By My Side on the second record. So before I became her full-time engineer, we had already worked on like 3 records.
And on those records, are you tracking and mixing those records?
Well, I was tracking.
Okay.
I was tracking all of those records.
Right, because Ariel mixed Super Bass.
Ariel mixed Super Bass.
Ariel's my assistant.
Yeah, I know. And Ariel, I learned a lot from him also. He taught me a lot about Equal.
Just a lot of our audience has never been to a session where a star of Nicki's magnitude is working. Can you describe a typical session for you and Nicki? You get to the studio 5-6 hours early. What time does Nicki usually come in?
I mean, honestly, it's the opposite. Like when I first started working with Nicki, like Nicki was the first artist I know that works during the day. Like we'll be at the studio like 10. Like I have to get there like 8:39 to set up. She'll get there like 10:30, and
when does she stop?
She'll stop. I mean, depending like in the beginning parts, like she'll work from like 10 in the morning to about like 11 at night. Wasn't that bad? Maybe.
So she comes in. You've already got the mic set up. What mic does she prefer?
We used it was a Neumann M149 that we tracked her on.
Why'd you choose that mic?
I actually didn't choose the mic. Ariel chose it first, and that was her mic. And like, cause when I came in to track the album, when we came in to do the Pink Print album, like some of the songs was already tracked, and I just kept the same mic because I didn't want to switch out the mic.
What mic pre are you using?
Mic pre is a 1073, a vintage 1073.
Any compression going
and CO1B, 2-tech. CO1B, but it's very light. Like I let it touch just like hardly any gain reduction at all, just a slight gain reduction. And that's it. That's the mic pre. I mean, that's the mic chain that we use to cut all our vocals.
Did you get nervous when you first punched her in on an existing song?
Not really.
Well, you shouldn't have, because it's easy for you little pussies these days. In my day, you miss a punch and something's erased.
Yeah.
Just had to get that off my chest. Sorry, I apologize.
Grandpa's cranky. It's okay.
Yeah, thank you, Pro Tools.
You're welcome.
Excuse me. So the records blow up. Does your phone start to blow up now? People calling you?
I
and-
mean, well, more like Instagram and
Sure. Yeah, right.
It's not-
Back in my day, it was the phone. What is the phone these days?
Yeah,
But
it's-
people
Now
are
you see
getting
what
in
I'm
touch.
talking
Yeah,
about,
people
this
get in
little-
touch,
This
you know.
little kind of amateurish Pro Tools thing. You know?
Yeah, and there's a lot of people that hit me up, like, and a lot of people they'll ask me just for pointers. They'll ask me, "Can you listen to my mix and tell me what you think about it?" And like, if I have enough time, I'll just check it out. Cause like, I remember being that person. Like, I remember being that.
You never forget.
You know, so
do
you never forget. Yeah, I like, you know, so I remember being that person that would kill just to have somebody that knew somebody that knew somebody in the industry to listen to my. You know what I'm saying? Like,
You know
so-
that. You know that's why it makes you successful. It's in his. It's what you're talking about. It's in his DNA to pay it forward and just to be, because it's about being a good human first.
It's always about being
and
a good
keeping that
person.
right. Keeping
Yeah.
See, that's Cuba.
Yeah,
that's your upbringing.
that's my family. Like, we close knit family, and like, I'm always like, my mama always helped people, and I'm the same way. Like, I give my last. Like, if I had it to give, that's me. And you know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like as long as you're a good person in this industry, you know what I'm saying? If they good guys finish last, that may be true, but in some respect, but I'd rather be that good guy at the end of the day, because you know what I'm saying? That's who I am. Like, I can't go against who I am. Like, some people actually told me I need to be more of an a-hole. I can't be an a-hole if I tried. Like, I look weird being an a-hole. Like, I can't do that. Like, I can't be that. Like, you know what I'm saying? And like, and I've been blessed to be in a position. Like, sometimes I have to look around, like, where I'm at. Like, sometimes, like, wow, like,
How did I get here?
how do I
in
get
6
here?
years?
Like, I'm in exactly.
That's
and
amazing.
and that's one
That's
thing.
amazing.
And that's one thing that could stuck, cause like for the longest, cause like I didn't go to school for engineering, so I felt like it's a lot of stuff I didn't know, and it's still a lot of stuff that I learn every day. But you know, I was always like, man, how am I in this room with these people? I ain't go to school, I ain't do this, woo. But I didn't start to really go forward until I had to focus on the stuff I did know.
Yeah.
Focus on the stuff I was good at instead of trying to obsess over the stuff I didn't know. You know, I know I'm gonna learn stuff as I go, but if you keep on thinking about what you're not good at or what you can't do, like, you're never gonna be a successful engineer. Every engineer is different.
That's the mind state
You know,
thing you're
and that's
talking
my
about,
state. Like, I was like pissed off. Like, I was trying to figure out, cause I couldn't work I never worked a tape machine before, and I feel like I was limited as an engineer simply because I didn't know how to use a tape machine. And then another engineer
really
told
hard.
me, yeah, and
Not
another
like Pro Tools.
but then another engineer told me, like, you probably would never have to use a tape machine again, so why even stress out over it? But that's the thing. But so I had to focus on what I know and what I was good at and just run with that.
Don't you? Well, let me ask you this. I think that successful people are curious people, but they're constantly. So, do you constantly search out knowledge? Do you pay attention to things?
All the
Do you-
time. Like, I'm always, like, at home, I'm always, like, online, trying to find new techniques.
What's your favorite show online?
on audio engineering and mixing. And last name starts with a P.
ITL.
Okay, cool.
That's
That's
my
good.
favorite show.
I remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I came up with
Like,
it.
it's a lot of ITL. I got a lot of ITL tips in my
Oh, that's
engineering
good.
mixing.
I
Like,
feel-
seriously.
Hey, from your perspective, I've always been curious about this because I shared something with you the first time I had to use an SSL. I turned that gig down because I was too afraid to use it. What, from your perspective now, you've seen a lot of big projects. You worked in great studios. What surprised you most from coming from Cuba and that? I have trouble saying Cuba, Alabama. They speak Spanish there, I'm sure. What surprised you the most about engineering? And I'll tell you what surprised me the most.
What surprised me the most about engineering? Well, the first thing, it was like how, I'm not gonna say it was easy, but how well suited I was for it. Like, I'm not gonna say it was easy, but it was like, the thing that surprised me the most is like how much harder it wasn't the working the gear that was hard. It was actually being under pressure of making something sound good. That's the surprise.
Yeah.
I didn't know
In
how
30
stressful.
seconds,
Yeah,
10 seconds.
Like, I didn't know how fast the workflow was in the engineering. Cause like when I used to engineer back home, it was like with friends, like, oh yeah, I'll be there in a second. But like here, it's like get it done now, and you have to be accurate. You have to be fast, but you have to be accurate with it. Because it's like a person that types 100 words a minute, it doesn't mean nothing if you can't read the words.
That's right.
But like here, you have to be fast and accurate because time is money in the studio. So that would kind of surprise me the most, like basically the up-tempo work.
But starting with Polo and then growing with Esther, you learned from the beginning to have to work that
had to
way.
work fast,
You
'cause,
never
like,
had time to sort of
No,
chill
I
and be
didn't.
sloppy about
And
it.
I couldn't. I had to, it was like, because like when I was working with Polo and Esther, and they worked like this. So it wasn't no time to be doubting yourself. You have to either sink or swim.
Right, right.
And I wasn't like, I didn't know hardly anything when I first started working with Polo. Like,
That's
I
amazing.
was like really, really, really fresh to this. Like, I was 2 months removed from being an intern. And I'm in LA working with Polo the Don.
Amazing.
But you were already pretty good because you owned a copy of Pro Tools. You had been using Pro Tools, so your Pro Tools skills were pretty good, which is what probably kept you in the door, wouldn't you say?
Well, actually, I feel like it was a combination of two things. The way I worked with Esther, because at the time, like, Polo and Esther was like banging out like records all the time. So it was a combination of my rapport with Esther, and Polo used to have this. He used to have this keyboard called a Nico.
Yeah.
And it was a PC base. And like before I got an engineer, I used to build computers. I built computers and stuff. So I could fix his Nico. He didn't have to send it off. I could fix it on the spot. So I used to be able to fix his keyboard on the spot. So I think a combination of that and then my skills probably was the third thing that kept me around. But you know, I just, you know,
For me,
worked out.
real quick, for me the thing that surprised me the most was that engineering wasn't that hard, but knowing how to get a sound was hard, but not that hard. But the hardest part was knowing what sound to get. That was like so many decisions. I was in a facility that one day we did a bagpipe, the next day we did a gospel, the next day heavy metal, the next day James Brown, the next day cameo, and that was the thing that helped me the most in terms of my future career was that taste thing.
Interesting question that you sort of stimulated with me. Do you find that it's important for you to work on things outside of the box of what you're known for, or do you want to stay inside a musical genre?
That's a good question.
No, I think it's very important to spread, to work outside, especially genre-wise, because like you never know what will be the popular genre like next year. Because like, you know, back in the '80s it was like rock, then it turned into something else like R&B in the '90s. Now it's like rap, and so you never know, you know. And then the other part of that, you can bring elements of that into the thing. Because like I used to listen to EDM all the time. Like when I first got here to LA. When I first got here, it was like, that's when the dance music was like king. So I used to listen to a lot of EDM to get up on the techniques, on like the edits, and like the stutter edits and the delay throws, stuff like that. So to kind of incorporate it into my engineering.
Absolutely.
And I still do, like even when I record it, I bring like those elements into hip hop.
We advise people all the time that what we see anyways is that those folks that are hybrids often stand out because they create their own signatures. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah, it's a very fair statement.
Let's, Chongor, you got a question over there? What you got for a guy?
This one's from Alice Martins. How did being from a small town help influence your career and work ethic?
Being from a small town is like, the way it influenced my work ethic, I knew I had to work hard. Like, I come from hard work. Like, so, but like, just knowing that it's such a, like, growing up in a small town, you don't know the world outside of you. So I wanted to see the world, I wanted to do other things, I wanted to meet other people. So like being from that small of a town, it drove me to be successful in this, because like it'll take you everywhere. This is literally taking me all over the world. Yeah. Like I was on tour like a couple of months ago, like in Europe. We went to 18 different cities in Europe. Amazing. Like I'm just chilling out in Paris, London, Brussels. Like, but I'm from Cuba, Alabama. But I'm just chilling out, like, you know what I'm saying? It's still unbelievable to this day. Like I look at the picture, like I can't believe I was just there. It's a blessing. So.
You know, I'm from a huge city compared to Cuba, because from Ashland, Kentucky, there were 30,000 people. Woo! We had 4 stoplights. You know, but because I was born in Montreal before I got there, so to your point, that small town environment makes you push to get outside of it.
Yeah, just to see other stuff.
And you hear things and read things like, God, I could do that. But more importantly, you look at your options there and go, I don't like these options. Like I need a different. So I'm kind of like you. Like my work drive is it must be survival or something. You just
Also, too, not having electricity in Cuba must have been hard with
That's
purpose.
important.
But I mean, that's not that far from the truth. Cause like pretty much every time it rains, the lights will go out and they'll be out for a couple of hours.
you
Like,
hand crank Pro Tool.
like seriously, like that's how it was. Like
I'm not making fun of the rural South.
Have you
has
been
some
home
good
since you've
people.
been successful? Oh, they
I
must
just came
love
from
you.
I was down at Memorial Day.
They probably line up and.
I mean, my family, they still my family. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying?
But I mean, you
still
work
gonna-
with stars, and some
Yeah.
of your friends must be like, "Man, how's that?" Yeah,
but
that's
you
great.
know, but they see, but like, see, my friends, they, especially like, I got a couple of close friends. They've been telling me from the start, like, "Man, you dope. You need to go do this." Like, who do I like, man? I'm alright. You know what I'm saying? But like,
They were
they saw stuff before I even saw it. So-
Everybody else
and they
did.
still like they're my friends. Like,
That's cool.
Chandler, give us another one.
From Gerald Jones, how do you break into the music industry if you're from a small town? And if you had to do it all over again, what would you do differently?
breaking into the music industry is a small town. Like, it's basically you have to go where number one, you have to go where the industry
Gotta
is.
go where the industry
Like,
is.
if you want to be an actor, you know what I'm saying, you're not gonna move to Dallas, Texas. You're gonna move to Los Angeles, California. So you have to go to where the industry's at, and that's what I did. Like, at the time, I couldn't move to LA at the time, but I did move to Atlanta. Atlanta did have a music community down
Absolutely.
there, and I didn't give up. Whatever I could do to break into, like, get into the music industry, go to a studio, go into a club, whatever I had to do, I did it. And then, what was the second part of that question? I'm sorry.
How would you do it differently if you had to start all over?
How would I do it differently? Differently, I would have left Alabama a lot earlier, probably. But you know, at the same time, I might not have been ready to do what I did at that time. But you know what I'm saying? I wouldn't do anything differently, honestly. The way I came into the music industry is, you know, it was a great way to come in, and I made a lot of good friends, and a lot of people took care of me. So I pretty much wouldn't do anything different.
So we're going to take you back to your days at Alabama
Okay.
when you were, trying out for the football team. You're an athlete. You come from stock of athletes and PE teachers. So Dave is a pitcher. We do a thing called batter's box. He's been loosening up his arm right now. You ready for it?
I'm ready.
Now your job is to knock his block off. Literally, just hit him.
I'll try. I'll try my best.
You ready, homie?
I'm ready.
All right, batter's box. You're up. Pitch away.
Bass.
Bass. Kind of simple with bass. Are you talking about guitar bass or just sub bass?
First thing comes to mind.
First thing comes to mind is art bass off the top.
Ooh,
deal.
plug-in.
Again.
Reverb.
Reverb. Ooh. I have to say, if I had to choose one, it would be the Lexicon 960. I'm not good with model numbers.
Yep, I'll take that.
Yeah.
Loops.
Sony Acid. Is it still called Sony Acid?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, that's the only thing that came to my mind. That's like my first DAW, actually, I ever used.
808.
Love it.
UAD, Voice of God.
Me too.
Yes.
Good one. Trap.
Atlanta.
Snare.
SPL, Transient Designer.
Ooh.
It makes it pop. I love it.
I use that too. If your studio caught fire, what one piece of gear would you take out first?
The microphone. It'll be either the U67 or 87. I have to grab the mic because to me that's like the centerpiece. Especially if you're tracking. If I was a mix engineer, I had to grab my iLox.
That's a good one. That's the first time anybody ever said that. Okay.
I just grab my
Once
iLox.
again, I lost. I'll concede.
Well, it's an Alabama athlete, man. I mean, you know, those corn-fed
Roll
boys.
Tide.
Roll Tide.
So here's a question for you. Couple things that I think are important for our audience. Perseverance is important. Never giving up your dream. Good mind state, right? Put yourself in situations where you can win. Pay it forward.
Yes.
Like go back and help people.
Definitely.
We believe a lot in those principles too, and oftentimes we like to take people who feel that way and ask them to do stuff with us. So we got a couple things coming up. We'd love to include you in
Absolutely.
the Pensado Awards, and sometimes we go on the road and we speak to people. Could we drag you with us?
Yeah.
Your experience. There's a lot of folks out there who can't afford to go to school, don't make that decision, want it badly, and the idea that you can do that and their ability to talk to somebody who's done it is
Inspiring.
invaluable. It's inspiring to us. So we stalked you, we tracked you, we got you.
Stalk y'all too.
This ain't the last conversation, right?
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thanks so much for having me.
No.
Appreciate
It is absolutely our
Great job.
pleasure.
Great
an honor.
job.
So you know you can go to Recall, see right below me, go to Recall, get to pensadosplace.tv, and you can get some extra exclusive content from our guest, Big Juice. Dave, take us home.
Whew, man, I think that the ending to the show has been the last 30 minutes. That's inspirational. I hope you guys felt that. We really did try to get Juice on the show because of his story. It's so amazing. I learned a lot. Hope you did too. The good guys do win. Both of them to my left are winning. So, well,
to my
this one
right.
not so much, but the one on his side is a good. I'm just kidding. I love her, but see you guys next week.
See you.